Hello everyone. Today we are going to discuss about one of the important creational pattern, which is Singleton pattern. In this video we will see what is Singleton pattern, we'll see its definition, and we'll see why we need to use Singleton pattern and what are the basic requirements for creating a Singleton pattern, and we also see what are the different ways of implementing a Singleton pattern, and we also see what are its pros and what are its cons. Now without wasting much time, let's deep dive into the video and let's learn Singleton pattern. Now Singleton pattern tells that it ensures that a class has only one instance and it provides a global point of access to that instance. It means, in simpleton, if I want to tell it in simple words, one class, one instance, and everyone should use the same instance. Okay, Singleton patterns tells that the class should have a single point of access, or it should have a single instance, and every piece of code in the program or in the application should use the same instance. So why do we need to use Singleton pattern? Now let's say we are building an application. Let's say I'm building one application where I have to connect my application to DB to perform some operations. Now, if I try to connect it from multiple places from my application, if I try to connect it from multiple places, then my system may slow down. It consumes a lot of resources, and the DB may also crash due to connection limit, because I'm connecting it from multiple places and multiple times. Then there might be a chance it increases, it there exceeds connection limit, and then my DB will crash. So whenever I try to perform operations on DB, then there should be a single point of connection. So instead of connecting it from multiple places, I will connect it from only one point, and then every piece of code or every piece of program that I write to connect it to DB or to perform some operations on DB will use the same connection. Okay, so Singleton tells one class, one object, and everyone should use this. So here, instead of creating multiple instances, I will create one instance and everyone use the same instance. Now in a similar way, if I'm trying to build logger in my application, now if I try to connect or try to create a multiple instance of this logger from multiple places, then multiple files will be created, then logs will be overwritten, and there may be also a synchronization issue with this logger. Okay, so for such types there should have a single instance and everyone should use this is what Singleton pattern tells. Now what are the requirements, what are the basic requirements of creating this Singleton pattern? Now whenever I try to use this Singleton pattern, or if I want to create or if I want to follow Singleton pattern, then I should have a private constructor. And then I should also need to have a static private variable. And I need to have a public static method which will return the instance of that class. So let's see it programmatically. Let's go to the code and let's go to the code editor and let's see how do we create Singleton pattern. So let's say I'm creating a class Singleton. Now to create a Singleton pattern, I need to have a private constructor. So I will create a private Singleton. Then I need to have this, let's say this is private constructor, and then I need to have a static private variable. So I will create private static Singleton, which is, let's say, instance. Now I will create this instance. I create the object of this class here itself. Now I will write up, then I need one more thing. I need to create a singleton pattern is a public static method. So I'll create a public static, then the return type should be singleton because it will return the instance of this class. Let's say return inst. Okay, so this will return my instance. Now if I try to call the function, above function, from here, from the main method, we'll call it from the class name dot return inst, or you can say get inst. This would be more appropriate to call. Now if I try run, it will return instance of the singleton class. Yep, you can see here it has returned an instance of this singleton. So if you see here, this singleton class has a private constructor, it has static private variable which will store the instance of this class, and we have a public static method which will return the created instance. Okay, this is how we implement singleton pattern. Okay, I hope this is making sense for everyone. So now let's see what are the different ways of creating or implementing singleton patterns. Now there are two ways of creating singleton pattern. First one is by eager loading or early loading, and the other way is lazy loading. Okay, now let's see what is eager loading and let's see what is lazy loading. In eager loading, the instance of class is created whenever the class loads. Whenever the class loads in the application, this instance will be created. Then it's a eager loading. And if we try to create the instance only if it required, only if you need it, then it's a lazy loading. So let's see what is eager loading, how we implement eager loading in the code, and we'll also see how we will implement lazy loading. Now if you see this code, the instance of this class will be created whenever this singleton class loads. So here globally I am creating the instance of this class. So whenever this class loads, this instance will get created, and if I call this function get instance, this instance will be returned. Now this is an example for early loading. Okay, this is an example early loading. Now in a similar way, let me create one more and let's comment this. Now if I want to implement lazy loading, what I'm going to do is, instead of creating the instance whenever the class loads here, I will create whenever I need the instance. So whenever a function get instance is called, I will see whether the instance is available or not. So if instance is there, or if instance is null, I will create the instance. So my instance will be new singleton. So, and then I will return the instance. If this function is never called in the entire application or never called it, then this instance will be nulled, will be remain as null, and then we'll never create the object of this class. If we call this function, then it will see whether the instance is null or not. If the instance is null, then it will create a object and it will assign to the instance variable, and then it will return that instance. So this is known as lazy loading, and this is early loading. In early loading, Whenever the class load, we'll create that instance and we'll return it whenever the function get called. But in lazy loading, we only create this instance whenever we need it. It means whenever the function get instance is called, we'll create that. So let's run it and let's see. So if you see, we got the same output, we got the instance of this class.